I've been accused of taking myself too seriously.
Video game review! Okay, last week Harley and I reviewed Ultra Enviroman. Whack!
Many years ago, the great British explorer George Mallory, who was to die on Mount Everest, was asked why did he want to climb it. He said because it is there. Well, space is there, and we're going to climb it.
I picked up this new game with my boys the other day. It's called STRAFTAT. The vibes are absolutely immaculate on this thing. The UI has physics that give it a sort of mecha organic juiciness that's really reminiscent of Cruelty Squad. The gameplay is simple and impactful and absolutely addictive. But it's the level design. There's just something really memorable about these maps, more so than any other FPS I've played. They're just full of these strange little nooks and gimmicks. There's multiple that center around placing landmines and pushing each other into them. There are a few that start with the competitors together, daring them to race each other to the map before grabbing the weapons within. And then there are some that are just deliberate, intricate, and just gorgeous. Genuinely some of the best world design and detailing. For such a fast game, there's so much love and attention put into these worlds, and I really wish I could stay and explore them for longer. We put down the game after a few hours, and I returned to it on my own to take a look at some of the other features, one of which being the training grounds. At first, it appears to just be an ordinary shooting range with household items as targets, but that is until you start running around, and you realise that the back door can be opened. It's an apocalyptic vision. Concrete spires are suffocated with sand, sun-bleached. There's something of it that really reminds me of Eco and Shadow of the Colossus. These huge empty spaces that don't really serve any other purpose than awe. And it was this feeling that triggered something in my memory. It was a game I played not long ago, but I'd quickly completed and just set it aside in my memory. BABBDI. Developed by the same fucking people as STRAFTAT? I fucking knew it looked...
In fact, the Rotunda is one of the few edifices to survive the development work, which will turn Birmingham into a giant building site for 5 years. But it'll be worth it, they say.
So I picked it back up, seeking to experience the game fully. I felt as though I kind of skimmed over the experience last time. I found this very overpowered item very early in the game that made traversal just kind of trivial. And I completed the game way too fast. So I told myself that I would go in, try not to make it too easy for myself, and to experience the game fully, kind of using more limited traversal. I'm really glad I did that. Just to lay some groundwork, BABBDI is an exploration game first and foremost. Well, almost entirely. All you're told to do is just catch a train out of BABBDI. That's the only objective. You don't know where to get a ticket or even where the train is, but the main juice of the thing just comes from walking around this little city called BABBDI. It just somehow feels bigger than other video game cities. I can't quite put my finger on why. Los Santos doesn't feel this intimidating. The light only ever seems to kind of peek its way through the cracks in the skyline. Flocks of birds navigate the maze of buildings and fly their way across the dam. It just feels massive, almost castle-like. For the first time in a long time, I felt as though my screen couldn't contain the city. I think only being able to stand in BABBDI would fully do its scale justice. I can't say I've felt this with any other game. I think I can pin some of this feeling of scale on the traversal as well. You're forced to engage with the city in a very intimate way, peeking through its every window, making your way through its corridors, using elevators and staircases to get where you need to go, and at times traversing their exterior hundreds of feet off the ground. Also, just from an artistic standpoint, I think this is my favourite kind of game. It's not trying to be realistic, it's bold and it's crude. It's aware of the medium it's using, and it's not afraid to show the cracks just to remind you that none of this is real. The textures of the building we call home are blown out and unaligned with the rest of the structures surrounding it. It's unmistakable. Even in a city of indistinct grey blocks, we recognise home from a million miles away. I feel as though the cracks in the consistency of the art are always there to say something, and all of these unique quirks as well just help to make the spaces memorable. I don't think I could recall a single detail from the absolutely gorgeously rendered streets of GTA, but I remember this corridor, where a door slams closed just as I enter, just in time to hear a couple arguing inside. And on that note, the soundscape of BABBDI is eerie to say the least. It's quiet. There's almost no music outside of diegetic or in-world places. Like these people dancing in a storm drain to music. Or this radio playing music for a man who claims he knew our mother, past tense. Or this party that nobody's attending, maybe aside from this man outside. During exploration, whenever you collect an item, there's this. But aside from that, all we get is... It's hard to overstate just how alone BABBDI makes you feel with this. Nearly every character you meet is isolated, aside from this man and the girl we presume to be his daughter. And the people in the storm drain, of course. Even this man's daughter doesn't survive to the end of the game, leaving another man alone in the city. We get suggestions that people still live here. Lights on in windows, shutters closing at our arrival, the shouting of people in their homes. But nobody comes out to help this old lady carry her shopping. Nobody passes us by. Nobody moves or goes anywhere. Just us. Maybe that's why we're leaving. The ticket office is just up past the canal. This square building sat at the edge of our world, and it takes a long time to get over it, and there's a number of routes, all equally detailed. And with tools you can basically break the game and get wherever you want, however you want. But this route above the water seems to be the intended path. There's even a little trail of pigeons leading us to the entrance. This whole time we've been walking away from the city, taking in this enormous brutalist government building set before us, a huge seawall behind it. On my way up here, I didn't take the time to look back, until the game made me. It's only on our way out do we finally get to see just how beautiful our city is. I'm sure once our character has left this place they'll probably miss it. There's only one home after all. There's something unmistakably eco-like about how BABBDI portrays its scale. These ramparts that look like castles almost touching the sky. The birds that flutter into view at exactly the right moment. Not even the birds want to stay in BABBDI anymore. The ticket office has no more tickets for us, but they do have this sick-ass motorcycle. We're forced to once again re-explore the city, heading back home just to find that the sick girl has finally passed away. Her father has given up on leaving BABBDI. He's just another lonely soul now, trapped here forever. never moving from his chair, a trail of flies leading to his daughter, and to our ticket out of here.
You're doing a great job! A great job!
I wonder if we'll ever return to BABBDI. There isn't much reason to return. There's nothing here for us. In 1, 5, 10 years, that old woman will still be standing there halfway up those stairs. The party will still be empty. The girl will still be laying in her deathbed. But the city is still home for us. Light shines down at the playground, always, never to be used again. Birds flutter between the arches. The hopeful still dance. The man will always be waiting for his guests.
BABBDI, BABBDI.
While we move onwards, BABBDI will remain frozen in time. Bleak, intimidating, and beautiful.